Yeah, I'm gonna give a little bit of time for people to join in. Sitting here in the city of Atlanta, gonna talk about the afterlife. Had a lot of contemplation today, over the last couple of days, couple of weeks. But for those who are watching this later on, I am Coach Renz, and was having a lot of conversation over the last few days concerning heaven, hell, the alchemy of it all. But I want to go ahead and tell you, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more lives, uh, way more often, different places. Uh, might get some side noises from different cars going by, just on the side of the street. Nice buildings on my city behind me. So let me tell you, when you become an alchemist, when I discovered alchemy and Hermetic law, the natural law, and as I dove deeper and realized in my studies of, Taoism, Buddhism, growing up as a Christian, studying Islam, studying all the religions, I see that they have parts, but not the whole. And in understanding these parts and bringing them to a whole, and going through meditations and different things of that nature, I came to the realization a long time ago that there is absolutely no such thing as death. Absolutely no such thing as death. But we live our lives with these fears instead of an appreciation of death. Death on this planet. You see, who we are, our consciousness, not this meat suit that we exist in, but who we are as our consciousness is not the end. It wasn't even the beginning. It's just a small part. Just a very small part. You see, we do understand that the law of thermodynamics say that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So our consciousness, our body, everything about us is energy. Everything around us is energy. There's no empty space in any aspect of the universe. There's no such thing as empty space. There's always a level of energy flow going on at all times. So therefore, when I came to that realization at a very young age, I never feared death, because I know that this is not the end. And as I studied religion and as I studied science, I came to realize also, especially in the teachings of alchemy and hermetics, that you control your afterlife. You control your afterlife. No religious doctrine actually controls your afterlife. No one can prove it, nor can anyone disprove it. But no one has went to heaven nor hell and have come back with any proof of its existence or the demise of who you are. In the Jewish tradition, you go into a state of oblivion. And there are some Christian traditions that say that if you are not part of the heavenly host, that you go into this state of oblivion. Well, that's an impossibility, because then your energy, your consciousness will be destroyed. It doesn't say that it's spread out and it becomes disconnected. It says that you go into oblivion. Well, that won't do. That won't work. Because if your consciousness is eternal, your being is eternal, then there is absolutely no way that you can go into an oblivion. So therefore, the concepts of heaven and hell were developed in the way that we think about it now after Christianity was taken over by the Romans. Like before that, there wasn't this place of damnation. In the Egyptian teachings, a person who knew how to cast the right spells after their death, had the book of the dead, had the right inscriptions, knew the right spells, went to do the confessions of Ma'at, you then lived a life similar to what you live here. It wasn't this horrible place where your life just ends and you go through all this craziness. Gotta light my cigar. Light my cigar again. It wasn't this place of all of that. You just continue. If you was a farmer, hell, you were a farmer again in the afterlife, whatever it is. Most traditions before the Romans took over Christianity had that in mind. Of course, when the Islam came about as a addition to Christianity, they had their hell, because that was a popular theme, since that was the theme in Christianity. But in the Hindu, Buddhist traditions, you reincarnated based on your dharma. Did you satisfy your dharma? Did you live a good life? Did you, kind of like the laws of Maya, did you steal? Did you kill? Did you envy? Did you have jealousy? Did you take from somebody? Did you do all these different things that are bad moral characters based on that culture? If you didn't, then you came back as a better life until you reach a certain state of enlightenment where you didn't come back to this earthly dimension anymore. So they had this concept of elevating your consciousness until you didn't come back. So they have a part of it. The Egyptians have a part. Sumerians have a part. Hindu, Buddhists, they all have a part. But then what the Christian doctrine did was take the Greek and Roman versions of Hades, the Egyptian version of the underworld, and converted it into this place of punishment, because there's a valley of Gethsemane right off the walls of Jerusalem, where all the trash and all the criminals, and there was, an all unlawful place where there was like killing and gnashing of teeth and all this sort of thing. So a fear began to creep up. This fear. And this fear allowed people to be controlled. Because now I can tell you what morality you should follow in order to get to this heavenly spot. But the alchemist and the hermeticists has always tried to teach the people that your afterlife has absolutely nothing to do with your religion, with your religious views. You're after this life, and let me not just say afterlife. You're after this life has everything to do with your mental state. You see, the Buddhists, they kind of got that part on point. The Egyptians, they had their Book of the Dead, and you got to cast some spells to make sure you had a better life. That Osiris would take you across the river into the nicer underworld, right? But these things aren't based on Osiris or Horus. They're not based on, Heru. They're not based on, Thoth or Hermes. They're not based on any of those things. They're not based on whether or not you become like Hercules and you gain a star constellation and you ascend up to the heavens. It's not based on any of that. It's based on you. It's based on your mindset, your lifestyle, based on how you think, what you think is going to happen at the end. The problem is that most people have been so indoctrinated by religious views and religious moralities that their concept of what happens after them is either heaven or hell or oblivion. One of the three. One of the three. I want to know what you guys think. All right? I see some of y'all on here. Let me know who you are. But what do you think? What do you think? What do you think you're going to do? What do you think happens to your consciousness? And I'm going to tell you how you prepare your consciousness, your mind, in order to know. And I say mind, and I really shouldn't say that. Because the Egyptians, they believed that the spirit, your ka, your soul, and let me not say spirit, your ka, your soul, existed in the heart. Like we see that we have synapses in our heart, just like we have synapses in our brain. We also have them in our gut, and we also have them in our sexual areas. So we have the same type of synaptics that are in our brain, in our heart, our gut, our stomach, as well as in our private parts. So that means a part of you thinks from your penis or your vagina. A part of you thinks from your stomach. That's why you have that gut feeling. A part of you thinks from your heart. That's why you have emotional decisions that you make. And of course, you do think from your brain. But the Egyptians, when they would harvest the body, harvest your organs, they would pull the brain out through your nose because they didn't believe your ka existed in your brain. They believed it existed in your heart. That's why those organs were kept in jars, were preserved, because they were preserving the host of your ka. Many other cultures thought the exact same thing, who had no contact with each other. Well, I'm telling you, in truth, your consciousness, as it is being hosted inside the body. Now, Christians would call this the Holy Spirit. Your consciousness, as it exists inside this meat suit, exists in all parts of you. This is why scientists can't figure out, biologists can't figure out exactly like, where is the spirit? Where is your soul? Where's your soul? The spirit is just the movement of the soul, the thing that activates the soul, that moves it. This is why the Holy Spirit in the Bible is supposed to come down and dwell within you, because it's a moving, it's a movement. It's a movement of the soul, the ka, that has the masculine and the feminine in balance. So that's the first stage of determining what happens to you after you leave this meat suit. You see, what happens to you first has to happen here. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the big finish on it, big secret, and then we'll talk about it. In order for you to determine what happens to you in your afterlife, in your after this life, you have to be able to master your consciousness in this life. That's why the Buddhists said that you got to satisfy your dharma. Now, they went too far and made the dharma into something as if it was original sin, in the same framework that the Christians and the Islam takes it. But see, that original sin can't work, because in their own writings it says that no longer will the son be held accountable for the sins of the father. It tells you that, you know, you have this savior that'll take care of you, that you can ask for forgiveness. It has things of repentance, so that once you satisfy, okay, this is getting a little hot for my fingers, satisfy this aspect of your carnal of the body, then you're not held responsible. You're not held on those same things. You don't held for original sin. And I've always had an issue with the idea of original sin, because the thing about original sin is that when a baby is born, what sins have that baby committed? How can you be held accountable for sins of a person who supposedly disobeyed the Creator by eating a fruit that the Creator put in the garden and made it look good and tempting to the people? Doesn't make any sense. When you were first born, you had no concept of heaven or hell, of anything negative, actually. Everything was glorious, everything was beautiful. The only thing you wanted to do was survive. And you felt love from your family, and you developed the ideas of love. But your culture began to teach you something different. Your cultures began to teach you about, you know, what's right and what's wrong. And there's nothing wrong with teaching morality, regardless of where your culture comes from. You could be a Hindu, you learn that murder is wrong. You could be Buddhist, you learn that murder is wrong. Wiccans learn that murder is wrong. Everybody learns that murder is wrong, right, in all their writings. So there's nothing wrong with teaching morality. The problem is that we teach, that people are taught this thing, this idea, that the moment that everything you do is so wrong, and that you need some kind of salvation from somewhere else, somebody else, when that salvation is all right here. It's all that negative portion of your brain that you've been taught to live by. And that fear causes you to think that you are undeserving of any life better than what you got now, any life better than what's going on in the next life. What happened to you and Kevin and the other dude? Y'all did great things together. Actually, I just saw Kevin Saturday. Me and Kevin probably will start doing some things together. I don't know about the other dude, because I don't know which dude you're talking about. But we did have a conversation about doing things together. All right. Oh, Brother Panic. That was just every now and then we did something with like Brother Panic or Young Pharaoh or Jamar. But Kevin and I, we still remain close. We have no issues. We good to go. That's my brother. All right. hung out with him for about 6, 7, 8 hours on Saturday. You know, had a good time up in Charlotte. But the first thing you have to do is start to master who you are here. Master your consciousness. And in order to do that, you got to first get over all these fears that they put inside you. Right? You got to master these fears. People walk around with this fear of hell so deep, so ingrained in them, that they discount their power, their God, goddess inside them. They discount their ability to determine whether or not they are worthy of anything beyond what this material matter, third dimensional plane has to offer. This is why, like, the chakra system will teach you the first parts of Hermeticism, of mastering you. You got to become a master of you. You're smoking the cigar with it? Yeah. So they have these pens that they make for cigars, but that's a little too dainty for me. So I have to do it with a blade. When it gets down to the nub, I got to do it with a blade. I can't do them little dainty stick pens. That's not me. I know that I am a balanced masculine male, slightly overage in masculinity, which is why on this plane, to learn how to balance your full masculine and feminine, you need to have a good woman. If you're a man, if you're a woman, you got to have a good man. You know, that makes it work for you. But that's part of the process as well. That's why we have relationships, right? That's one of the reasons why we have relationships. We have these things to help us to understand that balance between the masculine and the feminine. You see, the soul, the ka, was created, was put together, you know, on a different plane of existence. That was before you came here, right? And oh, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I ain't got my reading glasses, so chaotic. What did I say? Chaotic Pisces. Thank you. Appreciate that, man. That it's not even the money that means a lot to me. It's the fact that you care like that level. But we come on a journey. Our car is moved by the spirit. The spirit is it was known in the old days as the wind. And in Hermeticism, in the alchemy, it is the movement, it's the vibration. The ka, your spirit is the vibration that moves your masculine and feminine in balance and allows it to materialize on this earthly plane so that we can have this experience, so that the body can be fed. Our goal while we're here is to make that return trip. That's why the Christians say that the Holy Spirit has to come and dwell and provide a comforter for you, because your spirit, that energy, that vibration, right? Peace, righteous-minded family, born eternal Lord. That's to give you that energy is for your journey back. So your journey to another dimensional plane begins here, because you came here for this third dimensional experience, so that you can learn and grow and develop a stronger bond between your masculine and feminine. So that is why you create whatever your afterlife is. It's not created by anybody else. It's not created by a religious dogma. It's solely created by you. Solely created by you. And it's created by you because while you have to deal with everything here. This is why the vibration, the Hermeticism, we talk about your vibration. Chaotic said people aren't aware of the paradigms and constructs that rule their perspective and perceptions. And they're not. And because they're not understanding that, this is why your masculine and your feminine is out of balance. This is why your behavior becomes out of balance. This is why many people that I coach, and I talk to them about, we start with basic things like opening your chakras. This is why many struggle to open, even get past their heart chakra. Many can't get past the heart chakra, much less get to their crown chakra, which is the releasement of all earthly attachments. Right? When you release your attachments to all these things in this matter plane, that's when your consciousness have come into a heightened level. That's when you become an adept, a master. And when you start to understand how the universal laws work, you see these universal laws work on every plane of existence. Even when your soul, your ka, was existing in a different dimensional plane than this one, and it came to this one, it came here in that balance of the law of gender, which it takes male and female to manifest anything, to birth anything, but it took a vibration of the spirit. You know, the Sumerians called that spirit Enlil. They call it the wind. You know, the wind, because the wind moves. The wind moves things. The wind that rolls mountains. It moves the waves. You know, it causes all these things to happen. Even in today's world, when I was riding across country, I saw all these windmill farms, these windmill energy farms. It's all harnessing that energy of the wind. Now, metaphorically, if you think about that, you have an internal windmill that the spirit, the wind, is moving. And through that movement, that vibration, whether it's higher or lower, is going to determine how well you master this existence. And when you master this existence, you can then take that journey, you can sojourn on to another level of consciousness that is beyond this one. And that's if you choose to. That's another thing about this whole afterlife thing, after this life thing. You can choose to come back. Sometimes if you lose your flame, you can blow into it and it'll get it back. But I just choose to light that sun gun again. Uh-oh. There we go. Ooh, burnt that thing. Oh, look at that flame there. I like that, right? So, you are the decider. Some people are going to look at this and be like, oh, no, you got to have Jesus or Allah, or, you know, you got to follow the law, or you got to, you know, get your alignments with Krishna, get into your Kemetic sciences. And those are good. Those are things that were constructed to help teach you how to find your balance and find your understanding, your consciousness, how to elevate yourself. If you was born to a poor family and you hate rich people, you was born white and you hate black people, you were born black and you hate white people, you know, you are out of balance with nature. The lion doesn't hate the gazelle, nor does the gazelle hate the lion. They just understand the purpose of each one. Now, we're human. We're in this human form. We're more of a divine spiritual beings. So we have a capability that they don't have. And that is the capability of reasoning, of understanding, you know. And then that's why they tell you, they hide this knowledge inside of their own books and teachings, that we have to always gain knowledge, turn that knowledge into an understanding, and from that understanding we gain the wisdom. But that wisdom only happens if we put it into action, vibration again. See, there's that vibration again. That first thing is your mental state. Your mental state. Just as the all creates and have no reason, no rationale, no force is causing the all to create. If it did, it wouldn't be the all. But we create. And most of the time we only create because we have a need. We have a need. That's why we create. And we have to get past that first. We create a relationship with someone because we have a need to feel love and connection. We have to get past the need of love and connection to create a relationship. We should be creating a relationship simply for our own selfish ideas of balancing ourselves out, balancing our masculine and feminine out. That's why we create relationship. That's why we should be creating relationship. And when we do create relationship, it is not to gain something from the other person selfishly that will hinder the other person. You see, even the writers of the Constitution of the United States, or the Declaration of America, actually had it right when it said we should all have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As long as you're not interfering with someone else's happiness, someone else's ability to do that, then whatever you do is fine. I heard my boy Kevin today talking about how if a woman were to have sex with 4 or 5 dudes, we would call her a whore. But if a dude go notches his belt with 4 or 5 women, we don't call him a whore. See, that's our societal mindset of putting conditions on people as to how they pursue their happiness. So what if a woman has sex with 4, 5, 6 dudes? So what if a dude have it with 4, 5, 6 women? As long as it's all consenting, We cannot determine nor judge and say that they are a whore. They are fulfilling whatever desires that they are fulfilling for whatever their purpose is. Now, if it's for lower vibrational things, then yeah, they are damaging themselves. And in our microbiology world, our virus world, they could put themselves in a position to gain STDs or to have unwanted pregnancies and all other kind of responsibilities that they may not desire to have. But who are we to judge them on their character of it? On their character. We can't make that judgment. We cannot make that judgment because you don't know why they're doing that. And if they are in the lower vibration, only doing it because of their sex, they have an uncontrollable sexual sacral chakra, then maybe through that process of giving away their energy to another person, like on my tantric sex channel, well, not channel, my tantric sex Facebook page, we talk about how, you know, sex is a spiritual bond that you create, and every time you do that, you are giving your energy, or you're giving and receiving energy from the other person. In order to determine our after this life, you got to be conscious of the energy you take and that you give and that you receive from everybody, but not just sexually. Not just sexually. In your base chakra, are you receiving another person's fear? Are you giving another person your fear? How many parents have given their children their own fears, and those children grow up to become adults fearing things that has never happened to them, fearing things that will never happen to them, as if their future is already written, and they go their entire life dwelling in that fear, making life decisions in that fear. In religion, that is what happens. No child is born already knowing and believing any religion whatsoever. But because the parents indoctrinate them into that fear, because the teachers indoctrinate them to that fear, the pastors and imams and priests indoctrinate them into that fear, they grow up with a fear of something that they have never experienced and will not experience. But because they dwell in that fear their entire life, more than likely they will experience that fear. One of the best shows that I ever seen was the show Lucifer. I love that show Lucifer. If you've seen that show Lucifer, let me know, right? But in that show Lucifer, there was an episode, I think it's in season 2, maybe 3, but I believe it's one of those, season 2 or 3, where Lucifer says that, you know, he's just the keeper over hell. He doesn't send anybody to hell, doesn't keep anybody in hell. That the doors of hell are always open and any person can leave hell if they ever realize that they control it, that they are dwelling so much in their guilt that they stay stuck in hell, repeating a hell loop, reliving their most guilt, the thing they hold the most guilt for, over and over and over again. And if they only just forgave themselves of whatever they are feeling guilty about, they would be able to walk out of hell. In another episode, Lucifer was trapped in his own hell loop. His mother, the goddess of creation, was trapped in her own hell loop because they were maintaining a guilt. But because he was already a higher conscious being, it got to a point, it was difficult, but got to a point where he recognized he was holding on to his own guilt of killing his brother Azrael, or was it Uriel? One of them, Azrael or Uriel, killing his brother Uriel. And because he killed his little brother, he was holding on to that guilt, right? You just talking about sexual energy today? Man, I talk about it every day. But because he was holding on to that guilt, he couldn't leave that hell loop. But once he let go of that guilt, forgave himself, realizing that either it wasn't his fault or it was just something that happened beyond his control, and then he wasn't stuck in the hell loop. But many people are stuck in a hell loop here. You see, hell is here. It's right now. But so is heaven. You see, I walk around with no guilt. I walk around with no fear. I was talking to a young lady, and we was talking about the fear of relationships. Will it work? Will it won't work? What happens if it don't work? Yeah, nobody wants a relationship to end, but relationships end. But there's no reason to walk in fear of it. And here's the crazy part. If you walk around in fear of a thing, that thing is going to happen. It's going to happen. If your focus is on the fear of a relationship ending, that relationship more than likely is going to end, because you're not going to do what's necessary to make that relationship work. You're actually going to do everything that creates a situation where that relationship ends. You create your own hell loop within that relationship, because you will continue to repeat and repeat and repeat the things that create discontent and disharmony. You see, when a couple is not working out, it's because that couple is in disharmony with the natural flow of a relationship. See, in a relationship, you selfishly get in it because you want to feel love. You want your heart chakra to be open. You've lost love before, but now you want to gain love and keep love. And you want to express that love, and you want to expound upon it and enjoy it. But because you're living in the fear, shame, and guilt, you exist in a hell loop where you keep on doing the same thing that ended every other relationship over and over again. And that causes you to live in constant hell on earth of relationships. After a while, you just give up. You just give up. And you say that, well, I go to heaven. And even the writers of the Bible were pretty smart when they asked the Yeshua character, this lady's been married to 6 or 7 brothers, never had a child with any one of them. In heaven, who is she married to? And he said, there's no marriage in heaven. There's no marriage in heaven. And there's not. When you leave this existence, there's no marriage. The only marriage is your marriage to yourself. Your masculine, your feminine coming together in unity at a higher existence in balance. Let's say Greg said, amen, I experienced nirvana, aka heaven, here on earth, and I was able to see through the illusion of fear, and I could see myself in other people. I've been trying to get back to that state of mind. Said that happened on an episode of Lucifer. Yep. Tell you, I've watched the seasons of Lucifer like 4 or 5 times, because there's so many great esoteric themes within it. So many great esoteric things within that show. And that's the challenge, getting back, because we're gonna fall out. We exist here in this third plane. We exist in this third dimensional plane of existence, right? And because we're here in this meat suit, we're going to have our times where we may have some fear or guilt about something, right? One of the things that I carried shame about for a very long time was after me and my kids' mom divorced in 2008, and I wasn't in the house every day with my children. I felt shameful of it. I felt a lot of shame about that. And then when I had bad business years and I wasn't able to give as much money, I felt a lot of shame about that. Not being able to spend as much time with my son that helped him develop into, the kind of man that I believed he should become, or help him develop into whatever man he decided he wanted to become. I felt a lot of shame about that. But then I realized that I spent a ton of time with my kids. I never shirked the opportunity to be with them. I didn't provide all the financial benefits that I would like for them to have, but my kids had a much better financial upbringing than I ever did. And my mom worked 2.5 jobs to give us the best that she possibly could, and I respect the hell out of that. I was determined, to give my kids better. And I had to realize that, I gave my kids better. Did I give them everything that I desired to give them? No. But I gave them much better than what I had, so that they can have a better jump in life financially, relationship-wise, emotionally, than I ever had. My kids didn't experience some of the foolishness of living in an impoverished area like I did, where you've seen things that a kid should never have to see. I tell my kids, I don't want you going to the military because I don't want you to see things that I saw while I was in the military. Right? Those things are scarring to you. They can scar you. And without the same type of upbringing I had, I don't know, that those kind of things can really jack a person up. So I let go of that shame and realized that I did a damn good job as a father, considering the condition of me and their mom not being in the same house, and I'm not in the same house with them. So I let go of that shame. And in letting go of that shame, I realized that even as a 49-year-old man and with a 25-year-old, a 25-year-old, a 21-year-old, and a 20-year-old, that I am still parenting them. I am still demonstrating to them physically, emotionally, how to then be an adult, right? So there's no shame. They didn't get the upbringing exactly the way I planned it, but they still got and get a damn good upbringing. So I don't carry shame for the years and the time that I had wished I had spent with my kids because we weren't in the same household. So you can't carry that shame. You can't. And if you did miss out on those kinds of opportunities, but there's an opportunity now, then true repentance is not to try to go back and fix anything in the past. True repentance is to become and be what you desire for them to have now. I am the man, and being the man that I desire for my kids to see and for them to emulate and for them to learn from. And I give them guidance. I mean, I get on my kids' nerves because it's like, hey, let's go for a walk. Going for a walk. Life lesson number 2008. You know, they get life lessons all the time because I'm still parenting and guiding them. So I don't carry any guilt, any shame, and nor should you. Even in relationships, my heart chakra, it was closed for a long time. Had some jacked up things happen. Took away a lot of trust. I didn't trust people. Dating was the most horrific thing. I couldn't stand dating. I still can't stand dating. Because when I first started dating, I owned a gym. And you meet a young lady, hey, how you doing? You know, you talking, what do you do for a living? Oh, I own a gym. All of a sudden now it becomes more about the fact you liking me because I own a gym, not because you're liking me because of me. So I started lying, sort of lying. I'm a personal trainer. I wouldn't tell them I own the gym. Then when they found out I owned the gym, then they felt some kind of way about it. But I didn't have trust. I didn't trust people. So I had to stop doing that and open my heart up so I can trust people. Because without trusting people, love won't come in. It'll never come in if you don't trust people. So going through the same thing right now? Yeah. So I had to open my heart. Because you'll never experience true love without that. And one of your ways of controlling your life after this is to be able to experience true love, a deep love, even if it only lasts for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. You experience that deep love. That helps your masculine and feminine to get balanced. That helps your mind to get balanced. That also helps you to overcome the negative images that you've had of relationships. And you got to understand, and I want you to understand, my desire for you to understand that everything negative, hell, devils, demons, all those things, I don't even like using the term demon because a demon actually is something that's like, originally was something great. That's why we say like, oh man, he was a demon on the court today. Yeah, that's what my Hawks, that's what Ice Trey did to the Knicks the other night. He was a demon on the court. That means he was a genius. If you do the etymology of that word, that means you was a genius. Like you was handling shit. You was breaking it down. So we get these jacked up concept that's changed over history. Think about it. If something is something, how does it change over history? If a demon was never this negative thing in the beginning, how does it become one later on? And now that's what we accept. You see, that's that conditioning that you got to let go of. You can't hold on to those conditionings. You got to let those conditionings go. You got to realize that that's man constructions. But all those things, anything negative, anything we call negative today, is not something outside of yourself, but is only a small portion of your brain. It's in you, right? It's in you. Just as you are the god and the goddess of yourself, you also the devil within yourself. What's the African proverb say? If there is no enemy on the outside, then only the enemy on the inside can harm you. Right? Yeah, it's hard to trust, but I had to trust. You gotta trust. And yeah, they may not, I've trusted people in relationships. They might not maintain that trust. But you can't let that taint the next level, the next person, the next encounter. That's that negative portion of your brain. That's the devil inside you causing you to not trust the next person. That other person had nothing to do with what happened to you in your past. If that man beat the shit out of you, and that was completely wrong, and he should have never done it, if they stole money from you, if they disrespected you, that next person, although they may say something similar, but are they doing the same thing? Are you putting it in the same situation? That next man comes up and say, I want to take care of you, I want to love you, I want us to be together, I want us to not let outside people interfere with our relationship. Are they trying to control you and isolate you as an abuser would do? No, they're just saying that, hey, I've experienced where outside influences, where family members, where friends, where they have so much to say about what we're doing that I don't want that to interfere with our growth in our relationship. See, we don't do that. We hear that and it's, oh shit, it sounds so much similar to somebody before. That dude who beat the shit out of me, it sounds so much similar to that this guy is probably gonna beat me the same way, so I can't trust him and I gotta maintain my arm's distance or I gotta run from him. Now, if they truly are like snatching on you, trying to control you, trying to do things that are negative, that doesn't mean that you don't have discernment to walk away from it. But don't let the negative part put that on somebody who's not really doing that. You know, I've been cheated on before by women. And just because a woman wants to go and hang out with her friends or take a girl trip or, you know, do something that takes her away from my presence for any extended period of time, I'm not going to let, or have male friends, I can't let that turn our relationship into where I don't trust her because somebody else cheated on me by doing some of the same things. They're not the same people. They're not the same people. They're not. And you can't make them into the same people. You got to let them show you who they are. So you have to open yourself up to that trust. If you want to have this much love, you got to be open to this much pain. That's the only way it works. But that's the only way you grow. That's the only way your consciousness grows. Your consciousness grows by allowing yourself, I think I'm done with this cigar. Your consciousness grows by allowing yourself to experience those things. What would be think about it. Your soul, your soul is existing in another dimensional plane, but it can't understand fully everything about itself. So it used the vibrational pattern of a spirit to embody yourself in a meat suit here so that you can experience those things here and elevate your consciousness so you can go to the next plane of existence. It's all part of that process. But you control that. You control that. But our vision, our creativity and our vision are blocked by the fact that we hold on to a lot of mistrust, that we don't see the connection of everything in the universe. Like, you can't take one universal law, use it, and think that that's it. Right? Like, you can say, oh, I'm balanced in my masculine and my feminine. Okay, you are. How are you vibrating along the different poles of existence in order to show that you have that wisdom about yourself, that you've mastered that? You got to use them all together. You can't say that I'm on the pole of emotional love, but yet you are not using vibration, or you're not using the law of mentalism that says that you manifest and create whatever that relationship is going to be. You manifest it. You create it. You decide it, right? If you don't decide, if you don't use the law of mentalism to create the image in your mind of what life is here, you will not create what life is in the next existence, because you created. I will give the Mormons some credit. The Mormons taught that if you elevate yourself to the consciousness of God consciousness, then you leave this existence. Now, they say you leave it with your wife, your husband and your wife, so you're supposed to create the marriage here on earth. So they kind of got some part of it. Like I said, everybody, they got a little pieces of the puzzle. But the Mormons teach that if you have to get married to another person and y'all come into balance, elevate your mind to the Christ mind, and when you do that, you have the spiritual marriage. That spiritual marriage then allows you, when you leave here, to manifest and create your own universe, that you then become the God and Goddess over that universe. And they got some jacked up shit that they taught along with that. Like, they taught that black people could never have this, and that black people will only be the servant. They can only elevate to become the servant of those white guys and goddesses in their own universe, in their parallel multiverse. So they have some jacked up stuff, but they got a little bit of it. A little bit of it. A little bit of it of balancing your masculine and feminine so that you become the God Goddess of your own created hologram structure universe, where you are the God. You are the God. And I know some people will be offended by that, because for you to tell people that, hey, I am the God Goddess of my creation, of my manifestation. No. You got to give all the credit to Yahweh. You got to give all the credit to Yeshua. You got to give all the credit to Allah. You got to give all the credit to Krishna or Geshna. You got to give all the credit somewhere else. You have to keep coming back and satisfying that dharma until you get the Buddha mind. You got to get into the flow of the energy of the universe, as the Taoists would say. You got to stop fighting against the current, fighting against natural law, and get into the flow. They got little pieces of the puzzle. But see, that third eye helps you see all the connections, so that you can then release all these earthly attachments, which means releasing all the doctrine, releasing all the conditioning, releasing the concepts of race, releasing the concept of one gender, that you are one gender. You're not one gender. Now, I know the fluid people only take that in the mindset, well, most of them take it in the mindset of sex and sexuality and attraction, but it's well beyond that. It is you are the sexual fluidity of energy. Energy. I'm a mass of energy that functions on frequencies. Exactly. I did a video a few weeks ago where I talked about the fact, when we was talking about is the universe eternal, from what the China McClain was talking about, and she, some of the stuff that she was dead wrong about, misunderstood. One of the formulas was that energy is equal to mass. And mass is equal to frequency. Therefore, energy is equal to frequency. So all energy is frequency. And frequency is a vibration. It's a vibration at a certain tone, certain levels. When you master your frequency, you master your energy, then you master your mass here, this. You master the meat suit. I remember watching the movie Doctor Strange. And in that movie, the Ancient One was telling Dr. Strange that if you reconfigure your mental state to realize that it is all energy, then your cells will have no choice but to fix the body, to heal the body, that you become the master of it. Now, it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing. You are designed to heal yourself. Your cells regenerate every 3 to 7 years. You got a whole new body because your cells have duplicated and regenerated themselves. But your cells want to do it a certain way. If I have a knee that does not act right, this knee right here does not act right. It's been hurting for like 3. I have a strained meniscus right now. The more and more I come to understand how everything in the universe is connected, how everything on this planet connects, to eat better foods, to drink better water, to treat my body a certain way, but more importantly, to be in a state of mind where I'm telling my cells in my knee to align themselves to the right frequency of being back into perfect shape, back being strong, back being connected in the way it should be connected. I spend more time meditating on healing my body than I spend on, let me go get some elderberry, let me make me some tea with some sea moss and some hibiscus, let me do all these things to bring the natural energy of plants into my body so that my immune system is boosted and strong enough to rebuild the body. All of that works together. And if all of that works together here on this third dimensional plane, then all of that energy works together wherever you're going. But if your energy is of that negative mindset, that you're going to hell, or that you need somebody, like you need Hiru to come and give an account of who you are so that you can, your heart will be lighter than a feather on the scales of Ma'at, then you're missing the fact that you don't need anybody. Those are just metaphors. Those are avatars in order to help you get into exactly, Dana, a universe that equals one rhythm. But just like there are different frequencies of the color spectrum, different frequencies of the light spectrum, there are different frequencies of dimensional spectrums of existence. You see, the law of correspondence in the Hermetic says that as above, so below. As above, so below, and so below, as above. Which is to tell you that if there are different frequencies that exist here on this planet in light, in matter, in the leaves, and trees, and animals, and humans, and thoughts, that those same frequencies, those same unified frequencies will exist in the next dimensional plane, but we got to get conscious. Our consciousness has to be elevated to that crown chakra, where we let go of the earthly attachments by only thinking that those frequencies exist here. That when you leave here, you're going to go to heaven because it's going to be the rapture, or it's going to be, Muhammad returning and, onto the mosque in Jerusalem. And when Muhammad returns, you go to, if you lived by Islam, submission to Allah, then you will go on to this heavenly plane. But you're still holding on to things here. They say you'll go on to that heavenly plane and you will get 70 virgins. Well, what about the 72 virgins? What about those 72 virgins? Is that their idea of heaven? Some energy, some consciousness has to exist within each of those virgins. And is that their payoff? Is that the frequency that they had to be at in order for this dude to have 72 virgins? And then they changed it when women started participating in some of the terroristic acts to say that they will be transfigured into a male and then have 72 virgins. I don't even understand how a woman goes for that shit right there. Because you're still saying you're still out of balance. If you think about that, that is being out of balance in the next dimensional plane, because you're saying that you are still masculine in the next dimensional plane, that there is no balance between your masculine and your feminine, that it takes you 72 versions of femininity in order to balance your one male. That's an ego trip for your ass right there. That's an ego trip for you. Because you are thinking in this patriarchal mindset. This is why Allah is a dude. Jehovah is a dude. Jesus, Yeshua is a dude. El is a dude. Baal, dude. Almost all the major gods, especially the ones in charge, dudes. Odamare is a dude. Shango is a dude. Odin, a dude. Zeus, a dude. Chaos, a dude. All the titans, the major titans, dudes. All of them dudes. Why? Because we're in a patriarchal society, a patriarchal mindset. Instead of thinking in the mindset of they are a balance, they're androgynous. They're androgynous. So we have to have an androgynous mindset here. And to do that, we have to let go of those concepts. Those concepts that a man can't cry nor have emotions. Yeah, you do. You can. You can. When I felt loss of love, my emotions mattered. They were here. And I didn't bury them down deep. I had to deal with them. I had to live through them. I had to appreciate them and the value of what they were bringing to me. And you have to appreciate those values of what they bring to you. The more you do that, the more you elevate. The more you elevate. When I see a racist person, yeah, because I am living in this meat suit, I have to recognize, but I do at the same time that I have to deal with it on this third dimensional plane, I also recognize that that's a person who's out of balance. They're out of balance. They're out of frequency with the universe. When I encounter a person who is so caught up into melanin and have a melanin superiority complex, I have to realize that when it comes to that aspect of that person, they're out of balance with the frequency of the universe. Because your energy, your consciousness, does not have a skin tone, because it does not have skin. Your consciousness doesn't have a skin tone because it doesn't have skin. But I understand we're here on this planet. I have to deal with being a black man in America, but I won't allow myself to think that I'm gonna have to deal with being a black man in heaven. Black man in heaven. Think about it. You grew up in Christianity, you know that every picture of heaven is filled with white people. Now, how is heaven going to be filled with white people when there are more people of color all over the planet? There are more people of color in Christianity than there are white people, yet they will convince you that when you go to heaven, all the angels white, all the seraphims and all them, they white, God white, everybody's white. They're holding on to a superiority complex. And if you I passed by this Vietnamese Catholic church a couple days ago. All their statues, they're Vietnamese. You're gonna get there and there's a Vietnamese. But why do they think this? Because the book that they read, the book that they believe in, because you got to have that faith thing that they talk about, is believing in something that you have absolutely no proof of. Absolutely no proof of. That's why there's belief, because you can't prove it. So you believe something. You just think that that's what it's going to be. That book tells them that, after when Yeshua come, Jesus come, the seas will give up their dead, the graves will give up their dead. You will be reformed into your body, and when you're in heaven, there are two trees: the tree of life and the tree of, I think it's tree of life and the tree of knowledge. I think it's the same two damn trees, are in heaven, and they will produce fruit 12 times a year. Why do you need fruit? If you're in a spiritual form, what are you eating? What are you eating? Now, if you take it as a metaphor, okay. As a metaphor, you're eating from the tree of life, meaning that you are living eternally. You understand eternity, right? You can't fully grasp eternity right now, because nothing on this planet in its current form has an eternity. There is a death to it. This tree that I'm sitting under will die one day. Its leaves, its trunk, everything about it will transmute into another form of energy. Your body will too. Everything does. Everything does. Hey, Naughty. Naughty, I guess you didn't see my video back in January, but Donna and I got a divorce in February, right? We were not in frequency together. We were out of balance, and I can only allow my frequency to be that way for so long. When a person is not, if you're not actively working by the spirit vibration to come in frequency together, then you will find that you would just be two people out of frequency. And you got to be selfish enough to recognize you got to get your frequency right. That at the end of the day, it's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about how you exist and how you're going to exist after this one. Now, if a person is working on it, that's cool. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. You have to realize and this is a totally different kind of subject matter, but yeah, we did. You have to realize when, damn, I forgot what I was gonna say about that. But when you are with someone and y'all are out of frequency, and there's no growth in that frequency, that you have to start doing what you need to do to get yourself in a better frequency. And I hope that she's doing the same thing. We couldn't do it together, but it is my hope. Because I have nothing. I don't. I only had that one video where I have negative things to say, simply because I was defending what was said about me. But beyond that, anything else that was said about me, I really don't care. That's because I don't hold on to the earthly attachments. I don't. It's not that I don't care, like in a mean way. It's just like, okay, if that's what you feel, that's how you. If that's how you feel, that's what you believe. That's what you believe. But I'm not going to make that my belief. I'm not going to make that how I feel. That's why I was saying earlier. I won't allow another person's fear, shame, guilt. In that one of the things in that case, insecurities, become my insecurities, became my fears, my shame, my guilt. Right? I have to, at the end of the day, make sure that my vibration is going in a direction that I want it to go. Now, what we need is kind of like how I was saying about the Mormons. They try to get in balance with each other so that they can have the spiritual marriage that allows them to manifest their own universe. And we do that here on this planet. We need to manifest our own universe. If you think about it, everybody who's listening to this, you're existing in a universe totally your own right now. When I leave, my whole day has been in my universe. Now, we're all shared in this third dimensional plane, but you're existing in your own universe. You have a totally different life that goes on, totally different experiences that I may never ever know about. And you're doing your own thing. You're existing in your universe. Same damn thing that's the same thing that will happen when you leave here. If you come back, and I do believe that people have made up in their mind that they're going to come back, and if your consciousness is saying that you're coming back to live another life here, your consciousness will come back, and you won't remember shit. You'll come back. All right? You're my spiritual big brother. I didn't get notified. I don't try to notify everybody of what's going on in my life, mainly because, oh, well, one, it's no disrespect, but it's nobody's business. Because, like I said, we all exist in our own universe on a day-to-day basis here. But when you allow too many people into your life, they begin to judge your life. They place their judgment, their morality, their conditioning becomes a part of, they want to put that on your life. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what someone else thinks. See, that's why that earthly attachment, you got to let go of all of that stuff. You got to let go of all of that. And one of the other ways that you create and manifest your own universe is by determining. Oh no, I'm not saying you guys will judge me. I'm not saying that, but other people will. But when you create your own universe, you let go of those earthly attachments, right? Then you realize that everything has its ebbs and flows. Everything vibrates. Everything is moving. Everything is either growing or it's dying. Nothing stands still and stagnant. Nothing is stagnant. It's all, you either, the rhythm is swinging you to the right or to the left, and you just have to determine which way you want to swing. Because when you do that and you can let go of your earthly attachments, everything that's holding you down in here, you can then manifest whatever life you decide, whatever life you choose. You know, I've dated people since Don and I broke up. It works or it doesn't work. For whatever time it does work, I take the lessons from it and I keep moving. Because my vibration is going to move one way or another, right? You're either going to stop pursuing love or you're going to pursue love. One of the two. You're either going to pursue happiness or you're not going to. You're either going to pursue liberty or you're not going to. You're either pursuing life or you're pursuing death. One of the two. And you have to decide. Your wisdom is valuable. The bell didn't notify. Oh. I don't know. Maybe you gotta click on and off that bell. I don't know how. They change these algorithms. Sometimes, and that's life though. The algorithm of life continues to change. But you change it. You decide. And when you can do that, you manifest your universe. You manifest your next existence. Right? I know some people do ayahuasca to get to that point. Some people meditate. Some people do all kinds of things to get to that point. But you decide. Chaotic said, what are your thoughts on us experiencing ourselves through each other, individualized points of consciousness, but of one source? Some call it God. I call it, I'm not, I want to say that word. I want to enunciate that word. Eminence? I don't know that word. I don't know that word, to be honest. I've never seen that word before in my life. So please explain to me what that word means. But here's the beauty of that. And I said this in a post on my Facebook page. Let me see. Do you remember that song, Tina Marie, I've Been Here, Deja Vu? I don't know that song, but I do understand deja vu, that you've been here. Yeah, I think you've been here. This is where, in the Hindu, they talk about the Akashic record, that everything is in your DNA, every experience is in your DNA, every life you've lived is in your DNA. Appreciate that, Kate. But I'm sure she's living a magnificent life right now, and I'm doing the same. But if you truly want to see who you are, it's hard to reflect that in God, in the concept of God, because God is immaterial. God is not here. God, the Creator, is not like visibly in your life right now. But when I look at my kids, I see who I am, because how I treat them, how they rationalize how I treat them, how they understand my treatment towards them, bounces back at me. If I have a negative relationship with my children, it's because I'm creating a negative. I am negative within myself. When the people closest to you would demonstrate to you who you are, how they receive it. Now, some of that is who they are too, but oftentimes what you put out bounces back towards you. The seeds you plant in another person, you harvest those seeds. If you are helpful to it, now it can go out. If a person, they are a reflection of you, exactly. Now, you also have to recognize the history, the whys of that person could misconstrue what you are demonstrating to them. Right? I've demonstrated my love to other people. Now, demonstrating in love, that's a whole nother subject matter, but I've demonstrated my love, my care, and my concern to other people. And some people couldn't receive it. Some people couldn't deal with it. Some people will be like, it's too good to be true. Some people say it's just a honeymoon phase. Some people say it's not going to last, that I'm not going to maintain this level of love and care and consideration for another person, for them. And because they do that, they're not able to truly receive and reflect back who I am. Right? So you have to know yourself well enough that when somebody doesn't reflect it back to you, they're not demonstrating the reflection of you. They're demonstrating a reflection of their trauma and their hurt. They're demonstrating that they are still caught up in that trauma and that hurt. So they're not reflecting you back, right? Not in its totality. But then you have to love yourself enough to recognize when that is not reflected back enough for you, that you have to make changes in your situation, in your life, in your vibrational pattern, in your frequency, so that you can then find someone who can reflect it back in you. You know, this is a constant conversation I have with my son, right? My son, when he first started dating in high school, he was emulating his father. He was emulating me and how I treated his mother. He was emulating how he saw me treat other women, the few women that I let them see. He emulated how I treated them. But what he wasn't doing was recognizing that when I wasn't getting that reflection, that energy back, I would leave that relationship. He was trying to stay in it and I understood why. I was like, okay, son, you're staying in this, and even my daughters to a certain extent, you're trying to stay in this negative reflection back towards you, or the person who's not giving you the same thing back, because you have the trauma of me and your mom getting a divorce, and you don't want to have that. You have a fear of that. So you're trying to stay in situations that's not good for you. And I kept telling, and my son was doing it more so than my girls, and I was teaching him at 15, 16, 17, that if somebody's not reflecting that back to you, and you've been working with them, you've been trying, you've been talking to them, you've been communicating in different ways to get them to understand that they are safe and they're in a safe space to reflect that back to you, that after a time, your self-love, your elevation of your consciousness has to stick his head up and remove yourself from that, because if you don't, you will begin to reflect their negativity, and you will become to be more like them. You will become to live in fear, to live in guilt, live in shame, to live in that constant state where you're in fear of losing love, because you are reflecting back their pain. You're allowing them to determine who you are. And this is the other part of creating your afterlife, after this life. Everything you do in this existence has to be definite and with a purpose and plan. It has to be definite with a purpose and plan. Isn't that the process? It is the process. That's part of the process. This is why we can't be afraid of pain. We can't be afraid of losing love. We can't be afraid of making mistakes, because that's part of the process. But it's your growth. If you don't have growth in it, like I said, you're either vibrating high or you're vibrating low. You're either moving high or moving low. You're not standing still. You're never standing still. But when you have a definiteness of purpose and a plan that you enact behind that with action, with the high vibration, the vibration that should move you in that direction, then you will begin to obtain that higher conscious state, that alchemical mindset. All right. I was telling a young lady the other day that in a relationship, and actually you asked about me and Kevin, when this is the primary conversation Kevin and I had. Wow, you talked about deja vu. I just had deja vu of a certain car that went by, and I was saying what I was saying. But me and Kevin were having a conversation that love is not an emotion. I did a video about this the other day. Love is not an emotion, but love is action. Love is an action. And it's a repetitive, testable action that you do over and over again purposely. That's love. That's love. Not the euphoric feeling that you have, but it is that mental state that says that I'm going to love this man and love this woman. I'm going to give them everything I can possibly give them. I'm going to try to I'm going to love them in the way that they understand love. Like for me, if we use the 5 love languages as a tool, as a guide, a standard, I don't feel love with gifts. Gifts don't do nothing for me. Really, they don't. I understand the motivation and I can understand the emotions behind it, but it doesn't do anything for me. It's the way you process and accept things. It can be a learning experience or not. Exactly. So, we were speaking about Donna earlier. Donna's one of her top love languages is gifts. So of course, she tried to love me through gifts. I respected it. I did. I respected it. I can appreciate what she's trying to do. But ultimately, the gifts didn't matter to me as much as they matter to her. Now, I have to work to be a gift giver. Like, I will buy experiences left and right. I'll take you places. We'll go places. We'll do things. But a material gift is one of those things I struggle with. I literally had to put it on the calendar when to buy gifts. I had other people who I would say, okay, you know, these are the things that Donna likes. Help me to make sure I get these things. If you see it, let me know. All right. So when a person tries to love you, they usually try to love you in the way that they experience love, not in the way you do. Do you still have that motorcycle? No, that motorcycle was in her name, and because of the paperwork we had, she kept it. But like I said in that video, it was a control mechanism as well, so I didn't have any problems giving it up. So I went and bought my own. I went and bought another one in February. Once I saw, like, okay, how much money is going to be separated here and there, what am I going to have to pay for, you know, after all that was paid for, then I went and bought my own motorcycle, which me and my brother, we rode them across country in April, had a great cross country road trip. But see, that's the thing for me. It wasn't so. I love motorcycles, but it's not about the bike. It's about the experience of riding the bike that matters to me. Right? I'm an experienced person. I'm not a gift person. But if I'm with somebody who gifts is their love language, I struggle at that, and I have to work on it, and I have to purposely do things. And I'm not that great at it. You know, I'm not that great at it. But my primary love language is actually affection. It's physical touch. Right? If you were with me, you were my lady, and you're sitting next to me, right? If you bought food, yeah, that's nice. I appreciate it. But if we riding down the street and you rub the back of my head, you know, if you got your arm wrapped around my arm, because I'm gonna put my arm on your leg, or you have my hand on your leg, the whole damn time we riding. That means more to me. That means more to me than you buying me whatever. All right. If you believe in me, basically words of affirmation, that's going to mean more to me than what is this? It's physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts. Shit, that last one keeps falling out my head all the time. Whatever the last one is, but I know my main three. My main three: physical touch, acts of service, words of affirmation. You know, I had a young lady who didn't believe in what I do business-wise, didn't believe, and not so much the business itself, didn't believe in me as far as being able to accomplish it. See, those kinds of things don't work for me. Oh no, I experienced love with cooking, comedy shows, and on TV, touching, words, searches, quality time. That's the other one. Yeah, and see, actually, so let me get that right. For me, quality time is actually number 2. I can't believe I forgot that. He goes physical touch, quality times, and then words of affirmation, and then acts of service, and then like iron my kid's mom, my first wife. When we was in the Marine Corps, she used to iron my clothes, iron my uniforms. She made sure that I was looking good for inspections and everything all the time. I appreciated that. That was great. I appreciated it. Did that mean more to me than quality time, which was one of the problems that we had later in the marriage? And I understand, you know, with 3 kids, her dad living with us, and she had went back to college. Quality time was hard to come by, but I didn't know how to communicate that correctly to her. So I failed in my communication about quality time and physical touch, and ultimately too much static was built up in the relationship. But those are the things that meant something to me, and I had to learn from that relationship, that 22-year relationship, that whatever the other person's love language is what I have to give to them. That also elevates my consciousness so that I am the purpose-driven determining factor of what my after this life looks like. I decided. So you have to decide what it is. Is it possible to not have a love language? No. Just say no. It may not be within it may not be within those 5 categories, but no. You're going to feel love somehow, some way. Now, will you have a combination? Can you have like some of them on even keel? Sure. But you are going to have a love language one way or another. Something that is done repeatedly to you, for you, is going to create the emotional effect of love. That's why love is an action. If you notice, all the love languages require an action. So you have to have that in order for it to work. Can you pinpoint it? It might be difficult. But if you really search your previous relationships, your highs and your lows, and you scale it, and you open your third eye to see the connections, oh, thank you, Naughty Naughty. What is that? Thanks for being you. That's cool. That's cool. I didn't know you could do that. Put like the emoji thing on there, and that was like a GIF thing. GIF. I don't know how they say it. But when you are in that mode, you know, there's something that's causing you to feel that love. Thank you. There's something that's causing you to feel it. There's something that causes you to say that I want to be with this person. This person makes me feel a certain way. But they're making you feel that way because they've committed to an action that keeps bringing it. And the more that people bring, this is why one of those pieces of the puzzle is when they say God is love, right? Understand that's the God inside you. That's you. You are love, right? And I like how they say that love is not envious, it's not jealous, it's not it's not a tempter, it's not all these different negative things, and it's not. You know, I wish that it didn't go in the negative and say what it's not and just say what it is. Like, you know, love is supportive, love is sacrificial, love is joyous. You know, just say love is all the stuff instead of the not. Because like the short video I did earlier today on my TikTok, I talked about the fact that every time you say not, like I am not envious, your brain only hears I am envious, and so then you start acting envious. You know, if I'm not a procrastinator, well, your brain hears I am a procrastinator, so you begin to procrastinate instead of saying I'm going to get the work done. I'm going to get the work done. I'm going to be efficient. I'm going to be trusting. Instead of I'm not envious, I am trusting, right? And if you keep telling yourself I am trusting, then you become a trusting person. You know, I am romantic. You become a romantic person. See, for a long time, and this was one of the things that I didn't do well in my last relationship, because of some of the things that was going on behind the scenes that nobody ever saw. I didn't feel like being romantic as much as I used to be romantic, and not just because of that relationship, but other relationships, how they were functioning. The actual romantic side of me, I didn't feel like doing it. And I realized that because I didn't feel like doing it by holding on to the past, that was not going to bode well for my present. And if it doesn't bode well in my present, it's not going to do well for my future. You know, so I had to realize that I have to let go of what hurt me in the past to allow myself to be romantic again. Right? To be romantic again. I can't say that the other people that didn't receive all the romance that I used to give would have reflected it back and understood it and valued it. They could have, they may not have, and that may have made a difference in the relationship. But what I can only look at what did happen. I look at my growth points, where I needed to grow, and then I started changing those things to make sure I'm growing in those areas, because ultimately, the more I control this existence, the more I control the next existence. You are constantly leveling up in a beautiful way. Thank you, Kate. Appreciate that. How do you feel about other woke spiritual YouTubers? Do you think that many of them are just conspiracy theorists? Conspiracy theorists, not so much. Parrots? Yep. Many of them are parroting things without understanding of what they're parroting. Like, you should always be in the trivium. When I teach the trivium, and I talk about the trivium quite a bit, the trivium is gaining knowledge, gaining an understanding of that knowledge, and then putting it into practice, which is called wisdom, evaluating your results, and then going back and making sure you have and if you're not getting the results you desire, then you need to change your understanding, or you need to gain more knowledge and change your understanding so that you can try again, right? You're welcome. And that's how we have to think. That's some of these YouTubers on spiritualism, they don't do that. I'm still trying to understand the trivium. They will hear a person say something. They won't go do the research on it. And then some of them, when they do the research on it, all they're researching is how they can understand it the exact same way that the other person who said it, instead of saying, let me gain an understanding of it, and then let me go test that understanding. And when I test that understanding, these are my results. Well, if I'm not getting the desired results, let me go back and test it again. It's like MSM. Can you tell me what MSM is? So like I was saying about romantic, being more back to my romantic nature, I can see my faults in some of my previous relationship of losing that romantic portion of me. You see, when I was more romantic, especially my first marriage, when I was romantic, gifts wasn't an issue. And I thought about that. Oh, mainstream media? Yep, like mainstream media. They just report. they'll report and regurgitate the same story over and over again. But I recognized when I wasn't romantic, I was like, gifts wasn't an issue in my previous relationship. Like, my kid's mom, she got all the romance. She got the flowers all the time, even though I'd rather give a plant now than a flower, because why kill the plant? And in order just to give you a bouquet of flowers. But which is why, like, in my last relationship and with Donna, I would buy an orchid, or I'd buy a lily. I would buy a plant instead of killing the plant by buying a bouquet of flowers. Every now and then you still buy some roses, you know. But I started to realize, and it's been growing over the years, that she got all that romance, all them poems, all the drawings, the gifts. They came easy, they came natural. I would see a card and I just buy it. You know, I saw an outfit, I just buy it. I realized that if I see a motorcycle, I'm gonna look at it. I realized that I had that before, and gifts weren't a problem. So I told myself over the last few years, you know, you got to let go of that pain, that hurt. You gave a lot, but you didn't get it in return. But so don't hold this new person accountable for that. Go and become that romantic person again, and the more you become that romantic person, the easier the gift giving will become. So that's why I purposely put it on a schedule, a calendar of being romantic, of getting gifts, and getting it with emotion attached to it, so that it became that higher conscious, elevated being of myself, so that I can exude love sacrificially. Because like I said, for me, gifts don't mean nothing. I ain't gonna say it don't mean nothing. The idea, the act behind it, the consciousness behind it means something to me, but the actual material thing does not. You asked me what I got for my last, I'm 49. You asked me what I got for my last 49 birthdays, born days. I can't tell you. I don't know. I have no idea. I might remember one or two if a spark hits my brain or something, but for the most part, I don't remember because that didn't mean as much. But I do remember people doing things for me that came out about as a gift, and I respect the energy that they had to do it. So I look to be more romantic now, so that's not an issue. Gifts is not an issue. Acts of service is not an issue. Quality time is not an issue. Words of affirmation not an issue. Physical touch, because I love it so much, it's never been an issue. You know, some people may say I'm clingy. I don't care. I like my woman being up under me, and I like being up under her. Hell, sometimes I want to spoon her when we laying down, and other times, shit, I want to be spooned. I want to be held like that. Sometimes, see, that's the thing. So a lot of men, I saw this meme where it was talking about, would you let your woman hold you like this? Where she was spooning the dude with a leg thrown over him. And a lot of dudes was like, nah, ain't a woman gonna hold me like that. Dude, there's a level of security and safety within that. There's a level of comfort in that. You know, when that's a level of her saying, I got you in that. And the fact that you let your masculine and this conditioning of this plane of existence con you into thinking that there's something wrong with that. And most men would say, oh, I'm not going to do that. That's gay. Now, if you want another dude to hold you like that, sure. That might be if they're holding you like that romantically. But when I saw Kevin and when we departed, you know, it wasn't like nah, I'm going to hug my brother. Because that's that confident, that's that security in our bond as brothers, right? There's nothing wrong with that. When my son is 20 years old, you know, I hug my son because that's that bond as father and son. There's nothing effeminate about that. That is deepening the bond. When I was in San Diego and I saw my boy Brandon, I hugged Brandon. You know, when we left, I hugged him when we left. You know, even though he was trying to play me to the left about, because his grandchild wanted to go to me and he didn't want to let his grandson go to me. But that's my guy though. You know, so I'm going to hug my guy. Nah, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to like fill him up. You know, nobody's trying to have a sexual relationship there. But the fact that we let the construct, the conditioning of this world determine what that is, what those kinds of affections are, no, it's not. And as long as you do that, you can't elevate your consciousness. As long as your consciousness is not elevated, you don't determine your life after this. You're held by the construct of whatever culture you're in. And that's what you gotta let go of. You gotta let go of that. You gotta let go of all of that. Kate says she got her man and he knows that. And that is a beautiful thing, Kate. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Another thing that I tell women all the time, my level of greatness, and this may sound a little arrogant, my level of greatness is astounding. Okay? It's astounding. It's astounding. It's amazing. I can accomplish so much by my damn self. But I'm telling you, when I have a woman who's balancing out my masculine with her feminine, and I'm balancing her feminine with my masculine, my level of greatness goes beyond the comprehension of anything I can imagine. And mind you, I don't want to be famous. I like living a life being able to go where I want to go without people bothering me. I don't want to have the responsibility of a Bill Gates, you know, financial responsibilities of a Bill Gates, that's economic financial, but you know, job creation of a Bill Gates, job maintaining of a Bill Gates. I really don't want that level of responsibility. So some people say, well, then you can become like the richest man in the world. I don't want to be. I don't. I just need enough money where I can do what I want to do whenever I want to do it. Right? That's all I need. You know, to be able to have the experiences I want to have. But you give me the right woman who got my back, like Kate says, her man knows that she got his back. The level of that man can become is amazing. And women, y'all got to realize, y'all hold the power to your level of happiness. Most women, They want to feel secure. They want to feel protected. Physically, emotionally, mentally, and financially. They want to feel protected and supported in those things. It's all in your hands. If you got a good dude who responds and respects that, it's all in your hands as to what level you rise to. What level you rise to. And every woman I've ever dated or married, I express that to them. You hold the key to your own security and future. Got an ambulance riding by, so excuse the noise. But you hold that key. You hold it. It's all within you. And dudes, you hold it too. I know there are way more memes and way more statements out there about a king builds his queen, a king adjusts a queen's crown, a king helps and grows and leads a woman through her traumas. And guess what? So does the woman do for a man. We keep forgetting that. That's why these men don't have an idea how to be men. Right? They don't have that idea how to be men because they're expected to shoulder everything. But no, your woman is there to shoulder you too, to guide you, to help you. There are, like, the Egyptians have these statues where the woman is holding up her man. There's a reason, because a great man needs a woman that can stand by and hold him up too. There is no afterlife. You just don't want to accept that. I don't know. You may not be able to accept it. Here's the thing about that. The techno driver. Prove it. Prove there's no afterlife. This is where I was saying earlier. At some level, everything becomes a belief. But there's a belief based on what data we have here. What data we have here. So your conscience is going to do something. It ain't going to oblivion. It's not just going to go fade into black. Both of our sons were born premature. Until this day, they hop on the bed with both of us and listen to our days and security. Our daughter does the same. My two girls were born premature too. And that's not my beard. Oh no, that's the screen. They all have healthy relationships. And kids will have a healthy relationship. One of the first teacher of a kid's relationship is watching their parents have their relationship. And it's great that you guys are together. But even if you're not together, they can watch you. They watch you with other relationships, and that helps determine what kind of relationship they're gonna have. Some of them rebel and say they want to have something completely opposite. I grew up with my grandparents, and my grandparents didn't show a lot of affection towards each other. But I hugged my grandmother all the time. I hugged my mother all the time. And part of that affection developed because I knew how much they appreciated and wanted that affection. They weren't getting it from their husband, so I gave it, and it made me into an affectionate person. It made me into a really affectionate person. And I'm glad for it. I like the affection. Affection is great. Affection is a beautiful thing. Like right now, to not have a woman that I go home to, and that we talk, and then we, lie there together and go to sleep, or do, intimacy and all that. It's an aggravating thing. This is why I hate dating. I can't stand dating. I love marriage. Prove there is. A lot more evidence proof the lack of afterlife and universe was clearly not created in 7 days. Oh, I agree. The universe wasn't created in 7 days. That doesn't have anything to do with an afterlife as whether or not it was created in 7 days. I don't think that the universe was created in 7 days by some creator, by the Jehovah God at all. And you see, when you make a statement, the burden of proof is on you, actually. You make the statement that there is no afterlife, so I don't have the burden of proof of that. I've already made my statements concerning that. So the burden of proof is on you. But if you you have to be able to show where the energy of your consciousness is destroyed, cease to exist. If you can prove that, then I'm with you. I'll agree, but you got to prove it. Just like if a Christian want to prove to me that Jesus, in the form, in the legend that Jesus exists, in the way that they have it written in their Bible, their Christian Bible, show up, Jesus. Come have a seat. Let's dialogue. You can't dialogue with me through somebody else or through a book, through literature. Come show up. Show up. Prove it. Otherwise, it's not a proof. It's a belief. It's a belief. And no amount of literature can ever prove that. right? No amount of literature can prove it. Testing things can. Testing things can. You know, so that's not my burden of proof. So moving along, marriage is beautiful with the right person. True, and that's the most difficult thing. 8 billion people on the planet, and we got to find somebody that can make it happen, right? That you can be there. Not going to happen. I think you're talking about him being able to prove it. No, you can't. I don't know if there's an afterlife, but energy is not destroyed, and as far as I know, we are energy. Exactly. Eyes wide open. That's exactly what I'm saying. I can't tell you what the afterlife exactly is, because I'm saying you will create it. Your state of consciousness will create it. And that's it. Your state of consciousness at the moment that you leave this existence will create it. Let me put it in these ideas. You dream. Where actually is your dream happening? Right? Where's your dream happening? There's no evidence of energy or conscious. Okay. Prove it, dude. Quit just making statements. Prove it. Because there is proof of energy. We know energy. Everything is energy. Everything is vibrating. We know this. They've known this for the existence of man, of this recorded existence of man. We've known that there is energy. So let me go back to a real statement of eyes wide open, because I don't do the dealing with that kind of stuff anymore. Right. So energy is not destroyed, and as far as we know, we are energy. So where does that energy go? How does it exist? You dream. Where is your dream occurring? Right? Your dream occurs in your mind. Does it occur in your mind? Is it occurring on a different dimensional plane? Are you in an astral form? You know, where is your dream occurring? It's certainly not existing. Your dream is not existing in this material plane. But while you're in the dream, that shit is real as hell. That is the most real thing going on in your conscious state of a dream than anything else that's going on. You don't even know you're sleeping. Your physical body is sleeping here, but your conscious mind, your thoughts, have manifested and created a whole new existence with people and other beings existing in that dream state. Right? So imagine when you leave this existence forever, being in a state of perpetual dream. And that shit will be as real as anything that you're living right now. It'll be as real as anything. Just like your dreams today, when you go to sleep tonight, if you dream, when that DMT is released into your brain, and if you got some good serotonin in there, it might be a good dream. When you dream, that's real to you. That's real to your consciousness. That's real to yourself, to your mind, to your heart, to your head mind, your heart mind, your stomach mind, your sacral mind. It's real. It's just as real as anything else. And while you're in that state, nothing can dissuade your consciousness that doesn't exist in reality. Hell, and sometimes when you wake up, you still think that you're still in there. You think that stuff really happened. I've been in situations where I've had a dream so real that I woke up mad at people who were in the dream that do exist on this plane of existence, and I'm mad at them. Or the dream was so real that I thought I had a certain experience, and I lived, and I was going about my day thinking that experience happened for real. And because I thought that experience happened for real in this existence, I was acting. I was manifesting things based on me thinking that was real. Me thinking that was real. It's like a battery. Prove it, dude. You just saying stuff. Anyway, moving along. I ain't got no more time for that. If you don't agree, then okay, bye. There are NPCs, non-player characters, trolling you. Their job is to rock real people back to sleep. Even our imagination has no limitation. Exactly. Our imagination doesn't have any limitation. According to the Hermetics, the mind of the all has no limitation, and our mind is exactly the same. There's no limitation in it, and it manifests whatever it chooses to manifest. We all could be existing in a dream of some other being that's just asleep, a 3-year-old that's asleep right now, and we're existing as a dream to that 3-year-old in their mind. that 6 hours of sleep for them, 6 of our type of hours, because time is relative to where you are, where you exist. Like on Earth, time is different on Mars than it is from Earth. On Jupiter is different than it is from Earth, because it goes around the sun. And for planets and galaxies and solar system and elsewhere, time is completely different. So time is relative. They might be asleep, and because I've been in dreams where my dreams gave me years of existence. The dream had years of existence in it, but yet all of those years in those dreams only happen in that 4 or 5 hour. I don't sleep about 5 hours. Happen in that 4 or 5 hours of time space of actually time here on Earth. But it was years. I literally had one of my most repetitive dreams I've had last about 15-20 years of time in a dream state, where I grow into an older man. This is before I had children. My daughters, were coming to my house back and forth. We were doing things together. We was, doing all kind of stuff together. And all these things were happening over like a 15-20 year period in my dream. But it was only one night. It was only one night. Time is an illusion. In your dream state, you don't know. Shit, you might be dreaming right now. You might be dreaming right now. A lot of my dreams are dated. Yeah. So if your dreams, if you can exist in a dream state and that's as real as anything else, then the logic is, when you leave this existence, since that portion of your brain will now be the dominant, and you won't wake up back in this, you go somewhere. And most of your dreams are connected to things you've experienced here. Most of your dreams are connected to your mindset here, what you accept and what you don't accept here. Those things oftentimes determine your dream. I see a VA therapist, right? I see a VA therapist because of an incident that happened in the Marine Corps, right? And, we call it PTSD. But I have relived different variations of that incident. And they call them night terrors, because I am acting out. I am living those moments. I'm living in those existence. One of those time frame, and I won't forget this one because of the person who was in it, but one of those time frames, Serena Williams was in there, right? She was in the dream. It was at her house, right? So I'm at her house, and I was training her, and then we was talking. We were just chilling out, talking, having fun. Then it got like late in the evening, and I was walking through a corridor in her home, and it was real dark. And then the dead bodies of the people who died on the helicopter that I was supposed to be on, and they was all waterlogged, and they just kept coming towards me, and I didn't know I fought them, but they were asking me to help them, right? But I didn't understand the language of them saying to help them, so I took an aggressive stance. So I've had a similar dreams like that over and over again. That dream lasted over like a 7-day period of me being with Serena, and them coming through that corridor, and that shit was real. Even though I know in this existence it didn't happen, but it had me jacked up for like weeks. For weeks, I was, I couldn't get that out of my head for like weeks. And now that I'm talking about it, I probably won't be able to get it out of my head for a few days. But that shit was so real. And it's based on an event that actually happened. Not that I trained Serena, not that I've hung out with Serena. I met her. A couple of times, actually. I've met her. Of course, she wouldn't remember who the hell I was in either case. But I met her a couple of times. And one of the times I met her was at the Tampa airport. And when I met her, she was coming through a corridor. One of the corridors at the Tampa airport. And so those elements were part of the dream, right? The helicopter crashed in the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Africa, and we only found one body, and it was waterlogged. So all those elements of my true life, of this life, this existence, were part of my dream state life. and they were just as real. Like, these are the things that my therapist works with me on. They were just as real as the actual event. So many of your dreams are based on what currently happens in your life, or what has happened in your life, how you think about them, how you conceptualize them, what your perspective of them are. And if that's the point, if that's what's happening here, then it stands to reason when you go into a permanent dream state, or as many religions call it, soul sleep, you're going to get that same effect. If you believe that Jesus is supposed to come and vouch for you, then you're probably going to be in a dream state where Jesus vouched for you. Now, if you believe that you're a filthy rag and you're unworthy, you'll probably find yourself unworthy. If you believe, like they tell many children, that heaven is like church all day, then you're going to be in church all damn day. Boring as hell, but you're going to be in church all damn day. You know, because that's what your dream state is going to create for you. That's what it's going to create. So it's going to create your afterlife. It's going to create your afterlife. So once again, the key is to master this life. Master this life. And Naughty says, what about the concept of hell? I'm like a Jew in that regard. I don't believe hell exists. Hell is here. Hell is right here on this planet. Hell is your day-to-day life that you live out of frequency with natural law. If it's just a good example, when there's a woman who is being beaten by a man, but then he comes and he takes her through the cycle of abuse, where he apologizes, and then he's all in the honeymoon stage, and then the irritation starts, and then the abuse happens again, then they apologize, and you know, and it keeps through that cycle. You know, you're living in hell. When you're living a life where you're doing stuff that you don't desire to do, that doesn't make you happy, you're living in hell. If you actually go by the Abrahamic religions, the so-called war in heaven, which is not in the Bible, it's in Enoch, and the Hindus have a war in heaven as well, which is older. That war in heaven, at the end, the ones who lost, who were then demonized, called demons and imps and Satan and Lucifer and Azazel and all them, they were cast down to earth as their prison. So hell, even if you follow that theology, hell is here. This is hell. The fact that a divine soul, that you are a divine soul, that through the frequency of the spirit, you manifest here. This is hell compared to that. This is hell. Not some underworld. Even the Greeks and the Romans and the Egyptians, their underworld wasn't a place of hell. They just converted Hades into that, so that they can fit the other. In 480, when Theodosius said the only religion in the Roman Empire is Christianity, all other religions are illegal, and you're gonna kill your ass if you believe anything else otherwise. They started taking all these different theologies from other religions and converting them and making them into this Christianity. So hell is a manufactured thing from other religions that they put together to be able to control you, but also to bring those people in, to give them something they can connect to. Okay, you believe in Hades, and you think that Pluto, or is down in there running hell, in this fiery pit and all that kind of stuff. Okay, you know what happened when Lucifer fought God and cast him down and went into a lake of fire. See, actually, if you read the Bible portions of the Christian Bible, it just talks about Lucifer and, well, not even Lucifer, Satan, the Satan, which is actually a title, will be cast into a lake of fire with all his demons. It says nothing about you being cast into a lake of fire. It doesn't say anything about that. That's doctrine that actually says that, not the actual book. So there is no hell for you. The Jewish people believe that you just go into oblivion. There is no hell for you. The Buddhist people and the Hindus say you just come back here and you got to live this life again until you satisfy your dharma. So they are saying that hell is here. That if you don't get it right, you got to come back here. So this concept of an eternity of hell for this, think about it. What kind of evil ass God would say that if you don't get it right in this microscopic second, this nanosecond of existence compared to eternity, that if you don't get it right in a little bit of time, with all this damn confusion, with all this chaos, with all of this disconnection, that you got to live the rest of your eternity in hell? That's a mean ass God. You have a child that acts out. Let's say my son, he's 20. He do this, I'll kill him. But all of a sudden he goes and becomes a murderer, or he goes and gets hooked on drugs and all that. If my son, I'm so unforgiving of those acts that even when he changes his life and starts just acting like a decent person with morality, I'm going to still treat him like a piece of crap, and I'm going to banish him for all eternity? No. Even if my son did it for 50 years, I'm not going to banish him for all eternity. And that's where the Christian would say that, well, if you give your life over to Jesus, even at the last second, then you will be forgiven of all your sins. Okay. But you're saying that this God, that if you don't believe in Jesus, but you do turn your life around, but you believe in Allah. How many Christians have went to jail for crimes, then converted to Islam, and they are now upstanding men and women? How many people converted to Hinduism, to Buddhism, and now they're upstanding men and women? They were Christian, but then they converted over to those, and now they're upstanding. How many Hindus, Buddhists were assholes, criminals, and then they converted to Christianity, but now they got to satisfy a dharma? You know, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. People who change their life and start living a more moral life, if this God is going to punish them for that, let's say Mother Teresa, you know, even though she had her issues, no, better yet, Gandhi. We know Gandhi was racist, and Gandhi did some jacked up shit in his youth. But then later on in life, he realized how jacked up that was. Are you saying that for all the good that he did and the greatness that he did, that he became as a person, he's now going to hell because he didn't believe in Jesus or Allah? That's a effed up God. That's what I wouldn't even call that a God. I wouldn't even call that a God. That's a man-made creation. That's making God into you. Making God into you, and not in a good way, right? Right. So, like Chaotic says, I don't believe in a place. Well, Nadi said I don't believe in a place or a destination, and good, because it's not. Hell equals a state of mind, right? One of my favorite books is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. And one of the phrases that he repeats over and over again is that hell is the negative portion of that the devil is the negative portion of your brain. So that negative portion of your brain manifests that negative portion of your brain manifests your hell here on earth. And it'll manifest your hell after earth. It'll manifest your hell after earth. Because that's what you believe that you are deserving of. That's what you accept. That's what you will conceptualize. Now it'll be interesting for people who are atheists. It's going to be an interesting thing, because an atheist is like, they don't have enough. Well, a true atheist is a person who doesn't believe, is not in denial that a God or goddess exists. They just don't have enough proof to believe in a God or goddess. Not that they just absolutely reject it. There's just not enough proof for them, right? And I can respect that. So it will still come down to the individual person as to what they think happens. You know, does their energy just disperse? And maybe that's what the Akashic record is. Like, Gandhi's energy dispersed and it became part of the universal DNA that now is manifested in every other being. And that's why we have the Akashic record, to be able to tap into that. Or how you tap into your ancestors because their energy dispersed and now it's part of your consciousness, and you have the ability to tap into your ancestors. As they, you know, Ifa kind of teaches that you tap into your ancestors. You get your ancestors to, you know, do things for you by tapping into your Akashic record, your DNA that's connected to them. You know, and that's some of them. The ancestors are in a form, a body, in a subplane from the, you know, the God, right? If there is no hell, what about the destination of heaven? Heaven is also a state of mind. Yeah, there is no. Same thing with heaven. It works both ways. There's no one has it and the other doesn't. It's gonna work both ways. You know, I'm glad I don't believe what my grandmother taught me about heaven is like church all day. Because as a grown-ass man now, to think that, oh, I'm being church all day, oh my God, are you serious? That I can't accept, I would never accept a God who's so egotistical that he got to have people worshiping him for all eternity. Like, I'm supposed to come down here, there's all this beauty of enjoyment, all these differences, all these different things that we have to experience here, but then you go to heaven and all you're doing is on your knees, praising God all day? What kind of egotistical maniac God is that it needs my adoration for all eternity? If that was the case, why even create this existence? Hell, just make us into beings that's already in heaven with you, adoring you all freaking day. And I know people say, well, that's what he did with the angels, but then Lucifer rebelled. Well, you could have made them where they don't have that kind of thing where they want to be you. If you made everybody, then you can determine what everybody's going to be. You could have made it where they just praise you all day. Why go through the process? There's no point in the process. Why sacrifice yourself on the cross? And it's not even a real sacrifice because you got up in 3 days, so you really didn't even die. You know, if you knew the outcome, then is the sacrifice real? Is it legit? Right? Is it? I mean, it's not. If you knew that if you don't eat for 3 days, there's going to be a big major feast after the 3 days, and you know it's guaranteed there's going to be a feast, then is the 3 days of not eating a true sacrifice? It's not. You didn't sacrifice nothing because you already knew the outcome. The only time you can sacrifice something is when you don't know the outcome, because then it's a true sacrifice because you're doing it without the foreknowledge of what will happen, right? That's how love works. And if God is love, then if I loved you, like, let's say, I think Naughty Naughty is a woman, I believe, because we talked about this before. If I gave Naughty all my love, I have no idea, if I sacrifice and give her all my love, I have no idea if she's going to return that love to me. That is a true sacrifice and a true statement of love, because I have no idea if she's going to give it all back to me. She's going to reflect it back to me. That's a true sacrifice because I'm taking the risk. But if a God is not taking the risk, then it's not a true sacrifice. If you know Jesus is going to rise on the third day, it's not a true sacrifice. It's not. It just doesn't work. It like goes against the idea of a sacrifice, that you're doing something without that guaranteed expectation. And you say, well, it's not guaranteed that everybody's going to accept Jesus. No, it's not. Everybody's not going to accept him, but according to your story, every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess. So you already know the story. You're already telling the end of the story already. What's the point of the battle of Megiddo against Satan and all his people and the beast if you already know that you're going to win? Like, if I'm going to... There's no need for a battle. What am I battling for? It makes no sense. It's illogical. I'm not the creator of the universe, but hell, I got a better idea of how that kind of thing works than the so-called creator in this book. I just do. You know, if you've seen everything, the process has no point. The sacrifice will have no point. So I don't accept the conditional creator that these books talk about. The only creator I know is you. Like, only creator I know is you. You, the God, and God is inside. Right, and everything. And if you accept it, that there is some life, that your consciousness continues to exist after this, which we have enough data that would demonstrate that should suggest it. Could be wrong as hell. Could be wrong as all outdoors. I doubt it. I know that their versions of it, that the versions of all the religions is not it. There's enough to disprove that, but whether there truly is or is not, we don't know. But what I do know is that when I go into my dream state, that shit's real. And when my consciousness is never to wake up again, whatever that dream state is, that shit gonna be real. That's why I see a therapist, because there ain't no way I'm gonna be dealing with the the after effects of the helicopter crash. I'm not dealing with that. And there's some other stuff that happened to me while I was in the Marine Corps that still plagues me. I'm not going to deal with that. Those things have to be controlled here and here and here and here. You got to control those. Like, I'm literally thinking like these jokers who want 72 virgins, y'all are thinking with your penis and control. That's what y'all thinking with. You ain't thinking with your heart. You damn sure ain't thinking with your heart. Because if you were thinking with your heart, you wouldn't subject women to that bullshit. You wouldn't subject women to it. You know, you wouldn't at all. So, but I've been on here for 2 hours, longer than I expected. Sitting in downtown Atlanta, about to go home because there's some more work that I want to get done before I call it a night for my popcorn shop. I appreciate you guys for being here with me. There will be a lot more lives that we would do. We would tackle even more subject matters. My whole thing is about the alchemical mindset. It's raising your consciousness. Whatever you want to believe, whatever you want to follow, whatever gets you there. You say you missed a whole hour? Well, it'll be there. You can go back and look at it. Whatever you believe, like even for the guy who's saying that it doesn't exist. Hey man, if that's what you want to do, more power to you. Who am I to tell you what your mind says? I can't tell you I can't make you dream. I can't determine your dream. And if I can't even do something as simple as force my will on your dream, a state that you're gonna wake up from, who am I to try to enforce my will on what happens when you cease to emanate here on this planet? I don't have that kind of power. I don't have that kind of power. Now, I wanted this to be a simulcast, but I left my tablet, and I was going to do this on my Facebook group for Coach Renz. Please join that group. I'm going to repeat this whole damn thing tomorrow on my Facebook group because this video can live on both of those. I got different groups for different stuff. My sexual alchemy group, I'll be doing some videos on that group on Facebook talking about sexual alchemy. So if you go to the alchemy of tantric is it the alchemy of tantric relationships? Oh no, just look on my groups, you'll find it. Look on some of my Facebook posts, you'll find the group. Where we talk about tantric alchemy of tantric sex on there. It's all about developing true spiritual divine relationships. So I look forward to building these channels. So if you're finding me for the first time, hit that subscribe button. Appreciate it. Thank you to everybody. Thank you for donating. That's awesome. All right. My dream be playing tricks on me sometimes. Yo, when I smoke these cigars, let me tell you, one reason I love cigars for multiple reasons, but one of the reasons why I love cigars is because it puts you in a relaxed state of mind where your creativity flows. And if I have really strong cigars at night, I'll have some really good dreams. And when we was in California in April, I'm going to tell y'all, I don't smoke weed, but I damn sure bought some edibles while we was there. I mean, you're in California, it's legal, so yeah. And oh my damn, the dreams. I mean, the edible gives you a body high, I guess, but every time I ate it, it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I was asleep before it kicked in. But the dreams were, man, them dreams were, I've had lucid dreams, but these were like heightened states of lucid dreaming, right? So I'm not one to tell people to go do chemical drugs and all that kind of stuff, or that you got to induce your stuff yourself. I'd rather do it mostly through meditation. But I got to tell you, them damn edibles, they had a brother dreaming on such high levels. And because I work for myself, there's no drug test for me to take. So yeah, I don't care. Plus, it's all natural. I don't mind natural things, natural stuff. That them chemical drugs that people get caught on, no. And doing it for recreation, not so much. But these cigars give me some good dreams. But my dreams be tripping. They be good when I smoke cigars. So that was a pretty strong cigar that I had tonight. But it's gonna be great. I heard mushrooms do the same thing. I heard that too. Um, one day I'll try it. I'll try some mushrooms. Got to be definitely in a safe, controlled environment. I would never do that. Like, I know people do stuff and they be driving and going to work and all that kind of stuff. Nah, 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 nah. I love me a little too much for that, and I love the fact of I need to be. I still got a lot to teach my kids, so I got to be here for that. And there's a lot more experiences that I just haven't had that I want. Like, I want that experience of being in true, true, true deep love again. Like, I've had it before in my life, but I want to have it at such a higher level now, where it's a tantric state of love. Like, I'm looking forward to one day being able to tell a woman that I am in an alchemical tantric state of love with you. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that. I'll manifest. It'll manifest it. I'll manifest that. So, what's that? All homegrown. Okay, cool. Cool. Yep, that's deep, deep. So I appreciate you guys. Y'all have a great time. I'm finna go. Got about 2 more hours of work to do when I get home, and then go to sleep. So y'all have a great day. Remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey. Good vibration. Namaste.